Ladies and gentlemen, you might be wondering why I'm stood at my bank. Hello, this is my troll. Let's give it a slash wave. And as it's coming to Christmas and it's getting festive and it's really fun, and we had our Christmas web show last night where I am still feeling rough. It was the drinking game web show. It's the first one I've had to do solo, and that just meant that I drank very heavily in order to keep the game going, and felt really bad afterwards. But here we are. I want to talk about the new Heart of Azerite we're getting. See this shiny, lumbering piece of nonsense that we have right here that takes up an equipment slot and it doesn't do anything. It goes up in numbers, and you'll see it's quite low. I have a mission set by my guild to have that at level 38 in the next couple of weeks. After Christmas, I'm doing that. I'm barely playing the game as it is at the moment. I'm just ticking over. I'm looking forward to my Christmas break that I'm going to take over Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So there'll probably be no videos then, although I'm going to do a nice Christmas message type thing after this. But we do know that all this nonsense here, this Azerite armor that we've been unlocking over the last while, is going away in patch 8.2. The traits will still exist. Likely the item level 1 is going to disappear, but the traits will still exist, but Azerite armor will still exist, but in 8.2 you won't be unlocking the traits on it. The traits will automatically be unlocked. You'll just be able to choose them. So basically they're becoming tier sets. If you're not aware of this happening, it is happening. It's great news. It's really good. So the new armor that is coming in Battle for Dazara Law, this is going to be normal style Azerite armor, but it is the last time that it will be in this form, which has artifact power levels on the necklace that you will need to reach in order to unlock stuff. So as you can see there, that requires level 15, level 31, level 36, level 41, and level 46. You can see how ridiculous it's gotten and how the AP system's falling apart. It's pretty clear, right? It's like, look, you need level 15 to make something work, and then you need like more than double that to get the next one, because we need you to keep chasing AP. So Blizzard, either, we did a conspiracy video last week, so either a long time ago or more recently decided that this system isn't working. It's turning players away from the game, and it's not that fun to keep regrinding the exact same stuff. As you can see, they have the same stats. The one that I have that I unlocked for level 21, you see that Heed My Call, is a level 36 for the same thing. The exact same thing. So it's a little bit of a dumb system. Not even a little bit, it's a stupid system. But this is the last time we're going to need to do this. What instead they're going to do is they're actually going to do something which makes more sense, is they're going to alter the necklace over here, and that is going to have something happening with it. And that's led to a lot of speculation and a lot of like excitement as well amongst the community about what this could be. Certainly if Blizzard's been working on this for a while, what are we going to get here? And I thought, you know what, let's have a bit of speculation. Why not? It's all been a bit down and gloomy recently. That's not fun. So, of course, there's one obvious way this could go, and it looks a little something like this. Been a while, hasn't it, my old friend? It has been a while. You'll notice I'm still using it as my transmog staff, actually. I love this staff. I think it looks so cool for a frost mage. I really do. A lot of people hate my transmog. You guys can be the judge. I don't really mind. But for me personally, I really enjoy the Ebb and Chill staff, and I still use the goat one for Arcane. But by the by, it's going to look something like this, because they're still going to have to keep the AP system. The artifact power system is like the foundation of the entire game for Battle for Azeroth. They can get rid of the Azerite armor, and they are doing, and instead they're going to shift it over to this kind of system here. Now, what are we going to get here? That's a really good question, because are we likely to get a brand new ability? I would like to say yes, but I think that we're a bit past that. Only if they've been developing this since Alpha, which is possible. I saw that even Taliesin believes the same thing, is that they've been working on this in the background once they realized that the AP and Azerite system wasn't going to work. Because it was obvious to us, so it was definitely obvious to Blizzard as well, and they've just been tiding it over to try and get it right. If they have been working on this, it's potential we will gain new abilities, which is what the artifact weapons were all about. You might remember Ebon Bolt was the big one that we got here when we got the Ebb and Chill. There it is. You can see Ebon Bolt was the first ability we got. And if we look over the other ones, where's my fellow Malone? I haven't looked at you in a while either. It was Phoenix Flames was the ability we got there. And I believe with Arcane, was it Touch of the Magi? What did we get with Alieneth? I actually can't remember. I'm such an arcane noob, to be honest. Arcane rebound. I don't know. Something in here. Something in here. It's been a while. I think it was Touch of the Magi. Yeah, I think it was Touch of the Magi. Or Magi, whichever you want to say. I think that's unlikely, though. I don't think we're going to gain a new spell for each and every spec in the game. Now, not every class with their artifact weapon did gain a new ability. Some didn't. Most did. Even Frosty K's managed to get Syndragos the dragon later on down the line. So they did gain a new ability, but some got it differently. The likelihood is, for me, honestly, is that they're going to try and mix. If I was to be a betting man, if I was to throw some money down on this, we're likely to see some sort of combination between Legion legendaries and this system. I also would not expect it to be this large. I don't think it'll be as small as this. But I would absolutely expect maybe half something like this. And then into something like Concordance. I would very much expect, and I would bet that we're likely to see something like Concordance occurring relatively quickly. Like, after a bit of a grind to unlock everything, because they know people are going to grind and turbo grind it. They know that from Legion. That's what we did. And then going into something like Concordance, so they could just have this stacking buff going up. Because you got to remember, Azerite armor is sticking around. They are keeping it. They might dump adding more rings and stuff like that going forward, because they're going to be focused on the necklace. But what I would likely expect to see is certainly, or most likely in my mind, the ability to choose more than one talent. Yeah? I would certainly expect to see us being able to choose more than one talent. I would expect that, because that kind of brings the Legion artifacts back into play. So as I pointed out a moment ago, like with Ebon Chill, which was the Frostmage staff, we gained Ebon Bolt. And we lost that, essentially. This has been still difficult for some people to wrap their head around, because they're like, Mike, it's right there, you didn't lose it. Actually, we did kind of lose it. We do use it in our day-to-day spec of running raids and dungeons, but because it's a talent, that meant we lost choosing one of these, and another talent that was in there, right? That's what happened. Yes, technically we still do have it, but in the last expansion we had everything in this tier and Ebon Bolt on top of that. That's what people are pissed about. It's like, you can't just put it back in and expect to say, well, actually, you've still technically got it. It's like, you're not seeing the bigger picture. We definitely lost something by having to do this. I would definitely expect to see the opening gambit. I wouldn't be surprised to see the opening gambit as you get to choose two talents. It worked okay with the class rings. What was really interesting about it is, you might remember this, is the legendary class rings that gave you another talent weren't always the best, which was definitely interesting. But I think they want to do two things. They have an opportunity with what they're doing in the Heart of Azeroth, right? They have an opportunity to try and help the class gameplay. Because, as I just pointed out in the case of Ebon Bolt, and this has happened across every spec and class, along with other pruning that's gone on and other lack of talents, is that our classes are worse than they were in Legion. Like, objectively, less things going on with them. That's just a fact. There's no getting around that. For nearly all classes, except the revamped ones, is we just objectively have less things going on than we had in Legion. Our classes feel weaker. They feel less involved. I know I feel that way across every single one of my mage specs, especially Fire. Fire is barely playable. Like, I could barely tolerate playing it now compared to its Legion version, which of course includes the legendaries and things that we had there. Like, that was the full rounded spec. Whether you say, oh, but yeah, that was legendaries causing that. I was like, well, actually, well, that doesn't really matter, because that was the full rounded spec of the expansion. That's not something that wasn't accounted for by Blizzard earlier on as what the complete package would look like. So having double Bloodlust and Phoenix Flames on top of having, quad Pyroblast power and all that, that was the complete package. It's a useless argument to say, well, it's only that way because of X and Y, because we all had X and Y. We had those things. That's just part of the package that came in it. It's not like you can say a car is only good because of the engine, right? It's like, well, they all have the engine, you know what I mean? You took the engine out in the new version, which would be BFA, and now you're saying, well, it's still the same car. It's like, well, it's not, because it's got a totally different engine and it runs differently. So that's my idea. What Blizzard really needs to be careful, though, of, and this has been brought up by a number of people, is let's suppose we're not gaining a brand new ability, which would suck, but it's likely to happen depending on how much of a band-aid fix this is, or whether it's a long-term fix. If this is something potentially that Blizzard have been working on for quite a while, we might see some form of new ability. But we know, and this is what always holds me back on this and makes me a bit of a pessimist on the whole situation, I'll be honest with you, is that Blizzard's deathly afraid of adding more abilities to World of Warcraft. They're terrified of it. Absolutely terrified of it. And that's really sad because that doesn't bode well for the future. We know this idea of rental gear is a common feature now for many players of World of Warcraft since the beginning of Legion especially, is that we gain abilities on a rental period and we have to kind of give them back at the end of the expansion while they re-roll and mess around with it another way. This could be, depending on how pessimistic or optimistic you are, the optimist inside me, and I've got to be honest with you, I am optimistic. And in some ways, despite all the hatred and vitriol I have towards BFA systems, I still feel bad for Blizzard about it. And let me just justify that for a moment. I've been back and watched a lot of their BFA announcements and stuff, and you can tell, unless someone is an incredible liar, you can tell when someone's enthusiastic, especially nerds. And let's be honest, the guys who tell us about World of Warcraft stuff are fucking geeky as I am. And you guys, if I'm streaming something I'm not enjoying myself, or I'm talking about something that I'm not happy with, you guys know quicker than anybody. You're like, Mike, shut the fuck up. If I was to lie to you, you would see right through it. And I'm looking through it. The Ironed Expeditions, the Azerite Armor, and the Warfronts, those guys are enthusiastic about that concept. I think they genuinely thought they were doing a good thing. I do. And they're the big 3 selling points of BFA, and every single one of them has been trash, as far as I'm concerned, as many other players. Yes, that's an opinion. It's subjective. I get that. Some people like Islands. Some people like Warfronts. Some people don't mind the Azerite Armor. But in my opinion, they're absolute trash, like really bad. And as I pointed out yesterday, in yesterday's Warfront video, I don't even understand that content. Like, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. So in that way, I do feel bad for Blizzard, who worked hard on something. And they probably believed that it was really good. They should have seen the forest for the trees. Is the best example I can give there. The best metaphor is that they should have seen it was trash way earlier and said, whoa, this is a bad idea. Let's go back before it got this far. That's not what happened for whatever reason. And here we are, and they're having to fix it in some way. But lesson learned, hopefully, that maybe this rental system that they've been going with is upsetting so many players that maybe we just need to add abilities and be a bit more carefree with it, and then we can mess around with stuff in the future and maybe re-roll things, swap things out. But ultimately, we can't keep playing this rental game. And I understand why they want to do it, because the game might last another 10 years. Unfortunately, there's a big corruption to that idea, isn't there? If you keep playing with this rental system and gutting classes and then trying to rebuild them again each expansion, it's not going to last 10 years because of that. So maybe you've got to throw caution to the wind a little bit and say, let's have some fucking fun with this fantasy RPG. Are we asking too much there? I don't think so. Other than that, what I really expect is some filler stuff. I've got to be honest, and I think we'd be daft not to expect many filler rows that will buff various spells. What you might see, and I would be watchful for this, and we'll keep our peepers open on this one. I'll get the boys in the lab to start crunching the numbers as we get closer to the Heart of Azeroth reveal in 8.2, is you might see some slight adjustments to spells that don't seemingly make any sense. So you might see like Fireball's cast time altered just a little bit, and then, oops, what's in the Heart of Azeroth? Azeroth's Fireball's cast time gets adjusted. Shock horror. Shock horror. You might see things like that if they're going to be sneaky. I would expect them to start making them changes like now, in readiness for what's going to happen in 8.2. And some of them might already have occurred now. Just to give you the forefront and how they might plan that out. It's like, we need to make some changes now because we're going to kind of alter this in a way we didn't expect to for the expansion. Or they'll just leave it as is and then they'll adjust the damage later on should something become crazy overpowered. Again, really comes down to how much development time. I would expect about half of this. I want something great in there, though. Like, the speculation that I have is, if you give us, like, another talent, fine, but that kind of brings us back to maybe around Legion level, or probably not even in a lot of cases. Like, that's still not around Legion level, because we're still missing things like active and interesting legendary choices, which we start to take into account. Have fun, right? I want them to have fun with this. I really do. We've had a fucking shitty expansion. You know it. I know it. Let's have some fucking fun. Why not? If numbers are down, you know what? It's going to get people interested. And let's be honest here, guys. It's Christmas. I know. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. But all the news we've had coming out about Blizzard, even outside of World of Warcraft for the last couple of months, has been all doom and gloom and fucking garbage. Let's have some fucking fun. Go on. That's what I want to tell them. Is like, go on, just fucking push it out. Have some fun. Put something in there that's cool. And you know what's going to get people back is having dickheads like me who have a YouTube channel that people watch saying, this is awesome. This is good. This is what we want to see. This is cool. And the Heart of Azeroth Necros, I want them to do that desperately. I want to see some really cool spells. I want each new class to have a new ability that's really fun and a couple of choices to make that matter. I wouldn't even mind if you had to commit to a certain way. Sure, the min-maxers will find the correct way, but if you had to choose between something and then maybe swap it around later, something I can really think about, and not just like, one does AoE, one does single target, and one's okay for dungeons and mixed cleave. No, fuck off. Give me fucking Arcane Temporal Vortex. Give me like Mega Arcane Blast. In fact, fuck that. Give me something that alters the animation. And that could be a good way for them to go, is there's cosmetic choices in there. And I've been thinking about this a lot over the last few days, is cosmetic choices in there. Something the way you could tailor your spells. I would be more than happy to unlock stuff like that. I bet you guys would too. If there were things in here, side bits that you could unlock, and they might even be, instead of concordance, is that you can have things that make my arcane spells red. Why the fuck not? Let's have some fun. Because we could have to keep it forever and ever. All right. All right. Is that so hard? Look, what are we trying to do here? Are you trying to keep the game alive support, or are you trying to drive some energy? That's the question I put to Blizzard. Are you trying to keep it ticking over, or are you trying to make a fucking fun game, man? And let us have some fun with it. That's what I expect to see here. I would overall expect this to be about half as big. So a few more things than we got when the Legion Fall patch came in, and we got to go down there and we got all this extra stuff. But certainly I would expect 2 golden rings. 2 golden rings. I think it's likely we're going to get to choose another talent. I think that's pretty likely. And then my hopes and wishes and optimism lie with something big, something fun, something that's like, that's cool. That's cool. This is what we're looking for from you, Blizzard, in this big-ass fantasy world where I've got a water elemental called Blinky that follows me around all day. And I'm looking at people and I'm thinking, look, there's a giant chicken here with a laser coming out of his back. Let's have some fucking fun. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Have a very Merry Christmas. I love you all. Bye-bye.